You are listening to the Fashion Guru Podcast with your host, Bill Daly, your fashion guru.
Well, hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the show today. We are so glad that you're here. If you've been following us for any length of time, you should have noticed that we are cranking out a lot of shows lately, and today is no different. There's one reason for that, and that's I keep getting introduced to really cool people that have a great story that I want to talk to, and so we do another show. That's the great thing about podcasting. That's one of the great things also about having your own podcast. Truly, though, at my age, if I get a great idea for show content, I have to hurry up and deal with it or I'll forget all about it, usually once I eat. So, today we're having a conversation with my new friend and sartorial enthusiast, Brian Sterling, appropriately known by his Instagram handle as the Dapper Problem Solver. Say hello to everyone, Brian.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. A big welcome to the show from all of us. I am so delighted to have you. We are going back to the other side of the country. This last show, I visited with my friend Taylor Camp out in California, who was originally from the East Coast, but now we're going back to Washington, D.C., where Brian will share his take on classic Dapper style from our nation's capital. How about that? And we are also going to talk about some key fashion hacks that just might surprise you. Well, let's get started. Brian, we need to let our listeners know, first of all, who the heck are you? So why don't you take these first several minutes and just tell us about yourself?
All right. Well, I am a retail store manager by trade. Been at this racket for almost 12 years now. Currently working at Club Monaco in Georgetown, DC. For those of you who don't know what Club Monaco is, we are a global men's and women's fashion brand that tends to focus on timeless classic pieces with a little modern essentials twist. Anyway, yeah, so I've been with the company for about 4 years now, loving everything I'm learning, everything that I'm doing. Really love all the interesting people that I get to work with and come into contact with on a daily.
Oh, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
what would you I did not check out store hours and things like that. Is it regular run retail or is it more of a boutique type situation? I know you've got a larger store, but
Yeah,
tell me.
yeah, we are definitely a regular run retail. Monday through Saturday, our hours are 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Sunday, we're only there until 7. Um, but yeah, we are there servicing the good people and tourists of Georgetown.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I went and snooped around a little bit, looked at some pictures. Looks like a very nice store and a nice
Thanks.
environment to be a part of for sure. I'm sure you've had a hand in that as well. Um, where are you from originally, Brian?
Yeah, so I'm originally a Louisiana boy,
Uh,
uh, born and raised in New Orleans. Um, when I was growing up, I pretty much knew early on I would not live in my birth city. um, so through a roundabout way, landed in DC, and we're going to call this home for a good long while.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell us when everybody's got a story as far as their sartorial story began.
Mhm.
Uh, Tell me what was your very first interest, and then where did you know that this is where it was a good place for you, a good fit for you for the long haul?
Yeah, definitely. My first interest, I have to credit my older brother. I would watch classic movies with him Sunday after church. Um, and I really just liked the way those men looked in all of those movies. I mean, not a one was a bad outfit on anyone. Um, I have pretty much a funny story I like to tell my family members. I remember being in art class and other people around me would be sketching faces, dogs, balloons. Here I am trying to sketch an Argyle sweater. So yeah, I pretty much knew I needed to do something in the fashion realm, be it design, whatever. Yeah, basically got to college, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, fell into retail, and literally the rest is history. Found
Uh,
my niche and ran with it.
what do you like most about the retail scene?
Uh, Basically, no day is the same.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I get to be sort of a jack of all trades, as well as kind of like a renaissance man with the fact that me being in retail management, store manager level, I have to know a lot to get a lot done. So it expands me, like helps me think on my feet, and really keeps me going.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we're delighted to have you. I've got a retail establishment in my background behind me too. I do some of my Zooms from a nice closet scene.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's an outdoor scene, sometimes, but always fashion for sure. So the last episode, when I spoke with Taylor Camp from California, he described the men's fashion culture as sharp or smart casual. Taylor testified that most men opt for a tieless look. You're in our nation's capital, and my guess is that you are more exposed to, at least predominantly, more traditional business wear. Is that correct, or are you gonna
Uh,
correct?
no, yes, indeed. The Capitol Hill look is a real thing.
Yeah. And you just pointed out a few minutes ago about classic fashion. What's cool about those movies that you watched with your brother is, for the most part, those outfits that you saw in those movies, whether they go back to the 1920s or 30s, they're still pretty well seen today in classic
Definitely.
fashion, which is really cool. So for me, bad for you in retail in that if I buy the right outfit, I'm not going to need another one for 20 years, but maybe I will, and I'll do the accessories. But I really like that. One of the things that came to mind as I was thinking about this interview with you, as we talk about when I see the politicians on TV, for example,
Hmm.
I see tradition, let's just say a navy suit, a white shirt, and a light blue tie. I mean, that's a very common one for the right side of the or the left side of the aisle, and not exclusively, but
Hmm.
or we'll see a blue suit with a red tie, or we'll see
Yeah.
very conservative looks, um, either side. So um, when I dress in my style,
Hmm.
I'm fairly classic, but I wear a lot of accessories, whether it's bracelets, it could be braces or
Hmm.
suspenders, it could be a boutonniere on a lapel. Um, I definitely don't wear classic black wingtips like a lot of the or horsebit loafers that a lot of the politicians probably wear with their suits.
True.
What kinds of things are you seeing? Because I presume you've got a fair amount of accessories and things to help just push it off of center, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. One of the key elements that we like to tell everyone they can start with is the socks.
Hmm.
If you can just change it up from just the classic black and give us a little bit of pattern with a little pop of color, there you are expressing your individuality just a little bit. And maybe it's a secret that only you know about, but it's a little something that give you like a little boost of energy, like boost the confidence a little bit more,
Yeah,
switch up the game.
I love socks. The people uh, um, just listening aren't going to get the benefit, but one of my favorite sock manufacturers is Southern Scholar, and I keep
Mm.
everything color coordinated and in bins so that I can pull them out. I know where everything is and so forth. And um, Risto, one of my friends from overseas, who is a sharp classic dresser, every time I wear horizontal striped socks, it just drives him crazy. And sometimes I love how it pairs, or I'll wear a pin dot or a vertical stripe or what have you. There is some art to it. I don't go too crazy and wear Felix the cat or Snoopy or anything like that. It's just more like you said, not just a classic black, which works sometimes, but
Mhm.
just a pop of color that might pull out a tie or a pocket square or what
Yeah,
have you.
exactly.
So socks, that's one thing. Where would be another area that people can dress it up a little bit or change it up?
Oh yeah, so definitely I would say shirting is another area where we really try to get our clients to think outside the box. You don't necessarily need the stark white or the powder blue dress shirt like you're so used to seeing. Um, Go ahead, try some yellow, try some green, mix up a little bit. They will always pair well with, your tie, your pocket square, your socks. And of
Right.
course,
I
me
agree.
being who I am, if you don't have those things to go with it, I will help you find those things to go
Yeah.
with that shirt.
Isn't that such an easy way to change up an entire outfit? You can wear the same blue suit and wear it with 5 different shirts and have it look completely different. And then you throw in ties and pocket squares and everything else. That's how I went. At March 15th was my 3-year mark for not wearing the same outfit twice. I
Love
went
it.
3 whole years, and that's because you get into the pattern or the habit of mixing it up. I
Hmm.
actually have I breathed a sigh of relief after March 15th because I'm like, there's a lot. I take pictures of everything and I'll either put it on Pinterest or wherever. I was so excited to wear some outfits that I thought were so cool when I wore them, but I'm like, oh, I can't wear the same one. Um, on the staying on shirts for just a minute, there's two things I
Okay.
want to talk about. The first thing, besides just color, I happen to love wearing a patterned shirt with a contrasting pattern tie.
Hmm.
What kind of play do you guys have with that at Club Monaco?
Yeah. So that's where it gets kind of tricky for us because we are so, as a brand, so focused on the solid color. Um, we'll probably do 1 or 2 shirts a season that has some type of stripe. So with that said, I try to push that stripe as best as possible to get into the wardrobe, to get them to introduce some pattern play. Um, because honestly, a lot of the guys from Capitol Hill are afraid to go there.
Hmm.
And it's really just a simple pattern on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be better for a page or an assistant to an assistant or whatever.
Right. Something like that.
Some of the TV shows that center around politics, you see a lot of that pattern mixing, which is cool. And I did a whole podcast on mixing patterns because you can do it and have it really come off really cool, and you can do it and have it be a no. And there's
Right.
simple rules. But now that we're on white,
Okay.
um, you had said something to me in our pre-podcast interview that I absolutely liked, and I still wear white shirts all the time. But you talked about a friend, mentor, as it were, that told you or talked to you about the 3 whites. Can you tell
Yes.
me
Yes.
tell me that story? Absolutely love it.
Yes, definitely. So the rule of the 3 whites. So yeah, when I first started in retail, I was blessed and fortunate to work under a stylish gentleman who really just wanted to just leave little nuggets of science with anyone who would listen. So he told us about the 3 whites one day: white shirt, white teeth, white eyes. These are basically the top 3 elements that your clients will see from jump, on first glance, on first impression. So go on ahead and try to make those three elements as white as possible to get their attention, to reel them in. And then after that, let's hope that you can layer in some conversation to keep the dialogue going. But yeah, since Will was his name, since Will told me that, it's stuck with me, what, 14 plus years now. I won't let it go. It's a great rule to follow.
Oh, it's an excellent one. It's a fashion hack for sure. And that's one of them
Definitely.
that I was talking about. And for those of you that are listening only, Brian certainly today he's wearing a white shirt. He's certainly got some white teeth and white eyes. And that makes a big difference. It is the little details that makes all the difference in the world. And I it's, it's, uh, it's very, unlikely for me to have a conversation with anybody without talking about, shoes. And somebody can be wearing an awesome suit and a perfect white shirt and a great
Hmm.
tie and an awesome pie and look like they drug their shoes behind a van and
Yes.
they're all scuffed up. Um, how do you feel about shoes as part of the ensemble?
Oh, yes. Well, for one, I saw it yesterday and I shuddered. Yeah, shoes, it's also very important. I will spend the time in the morning just to get a good enough polish on my shoes to be presentable to leave out for the day.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really is the little things that do go a long way and make a big difference.
Yeah, it is. And you don't need that many pairs of shoes. You just
Oh,
need
no.
spend as much as you can,
Hmm.
within your budget, and then take care of them. A simple cedar shoe tree takes care of odors and keeps them nice and tight, so they're not all wrinkled and cracked. And man, you can. I've said on a podcast a few back that you can have kind of a mediocre suit, but if your shoes are wham and fresh, that's what people notice
It's
and it
true.
takes their eye off the other stuff. So um, that is that's awesome. I love the three whites. That'll definitely hit the bottom of my three takeaways for this particular podcast, and I hope everybody heard that. Um, and well, let's um, beyond the politicians, how
Hmm.
would you describe the fashion culture in DC? Because it is kind of different, isn't it? It's not. It's its own
Yeah, yeah,
place, but
yeah,
what does that look like?
yeah. I like to say that it's like a melting pot of fashion that is kind of stirred primarily by the traditional business attire. But yeah, I mean, you could walk down the street and see the guy wearing the menswear uniform. Um, right next to him, there might be the tech bro wearing his office fleece vest, um, a skater punk across the street, and of course, urban wear is really big here as well. So see lots of streetwear, a lot of kids really expressing themselves with color. Yeah, it's a really big melting pot.
Let's talk about. I like how you said urban wear. Let's
Hmm.
talk about that just a little bit. What does that? What does that look like in the mind's eye, anyway, for the listeners? Um, because every day doesn't have to be a suit, right? Um,
Right, exactly.
I at least take my tie off when I mow the lawn, but um, uh, it's about looking nice in whatever look you're in. And street style, I think, is something that could be embraced by the masses. What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely street style is something that I think we should all embrace at one point in time. I mean, it could really be something as simple as a crisp white t-shirt, you throw on a little track jacket, what, maybe even a pair of chinos and some a pair of black loafers or something like that, you're good to go. You are put together, you're representing your neighborhood, you're polished, and you're showing respect for yourself as well as those around you.
Mm, love that. I have another friend on one of the other social Dapper platforms who we kid around a lot. And anytime I wear a crisp t-shirt style shirt, it's definitely not a t-shirt. It's probably heavier, but it's a t-shirt.
Right,
And
right.
if I wear it under a sport coat, he will rib me and give me all kinds of grief. Now, albeit it's Sunday afternoon and I might be going to the grocery store or something. I'm not dressed up for church or anything. Um, but we just play back and forth. But I really like that look, quite honestly.
Hmm.
Pair it with a pair of jeans, and I like how you talked about black loafers. Or I think when we were talking earlier, you talked about one of pairs of shoes that are popular are going to be the different colored leather
Yeah,
sneakers.
the leather sneakers,
Yeah,
definitely. Yes.
yeah.
Uh,
I think
we should
for
have,
street style.
everyone should have those in their arsenal.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. One, a black or brown or navy blue pair of sneakers aren't going to get all scuffed up like the white ones do. I have two pairs of white ones. One are pure white, and one are an Adidas pair that have some black mix, just because it fits with some. But I really got to be careful with those and keep them clean. When I
Definitely.
get home at the end of the day, I'll wipe them down and put the shoe trees in and set them to the side so that they don't get all banged up. But um, so um, I wanted to go just some discussion points, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. Um,
Sure.
but one of them, on Instagram, as I talked about when I introduced you, you call yourself the Dapper problem solver. And that's what your Instagram handle is, Dapper
Hmm.
problem short PROB solver. And I love that because that's what people, they've got problems, you've got answers. And when we can solve
Literally that.
yep, yep. So how do you guide your clients, and how and it could parlay into how do you train your staff to be problem solvers for
Hmm.
that? And then we'll go to your personal side as well.
Yeah, so I work with my clients first and foremost by being conversational and inquisitive. And honestly, this is what I tell the team members as well. Um, I hate to sound cliche, but really, of any place on M Street Northwest in Georgetown they can go to, they came to Club Monaco for a reason. So let's go ahead and have a conversation and find out why they're here. Um, I always coach the importance of trying to find out wearability and end use, because for one, Club Monaco isn't cheap. So I definitely want to coach my clients as well as my team to get into the habit of presenting what's more practical and economical for the people that they're working with in order to get them to invest in those timeless classic pieces that they'll wear year after year after year.
Good. So you're thinking about being tenured in how you put stuff together. Doesn't that just make sense? Who wants to wrap up their wardrobe and throw it away every year and get new stuff? It doesn't make any
Uh,
sense.
That's such a crazy concept to me.
Yeah. But yet people do it all the time. I
People do it.
I don't know if it's relegated to teenagers or if it's they're still growing, most of them, so
Hmm.
they have to change for that. But when we get older, we either get fatter or skinnier or sometimes stay the same. We don't grow up or down much. Um,
Right, right.
but you also mentioned, and I knew this was going to happen. You keep saying things, and then I want to talk about something else. But
Let's
um,
go for it.
you talk about it's not cheap. And I want to talk about that a little bit because there is a value add
Hmm.
when we buy something that's of better quality. And there's a big difference between something that is expensive and poor quality than expensive and over the top. I really like the quality. The shirt fits better, it's heavier. I can iron it or get it dry cleaned 5 times more than a cheap shirt. I can do when I'm putting on a suit, if I'm buying a suit that I'm in and out personally, I travel to clients' homes or new homes or businesses or whatever in my line, and I'm in and out of that truck sliding across the seat. And if
Hmm.
I've got a pair of really thin trousers that aren't going to hold up, they aren't going to last that long. So um, the quality, um, talk a little bit about quality versus price first of all, and then talk about, answer the question is, can you spend too little?
Right. So in terms of quality, I tell customers all the time. So yeah, like I said, I've been with the company about 4 years. Before that, I was a Club Monaco fan, a Club Monaco customer. So
Okay.
I'm literally showing up in shirts, pants, like belts that I've had for 7, I guess going on 8 years now, that I bought when I was just a customer because the quality holds up. So I tell them all the time, yes, you can go ahead and look at the price point, look at the material that it's made with. I can tell you, it's made out of factory XYZ. Care instructions, if you follow them, they will last you a long time. I'm speaking from experience. Not only do I work here, but I'm a customer. Um, or you can go up the street and buy something for $14.95 and buy it again next week for $14.95, and then the following week for $14.95. I mean, it just adds up,
Yeah,
or it doesn't add up.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's true. And so you making my point exactly, you can absolutely spend way too little. Um,
Hmm.
in my world, as a retail operator of a flooring store as well, um, the labor's the same, the cushion's the same, the problem's the same. We got to empty our house so that we can put something on the floor. We got to do all that, all to save $2 on the material. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right.
And the same holds true for fashion. Now, that being said, I'm sure uh, everybody's at a different stage in their sartorial journey. Some people are not a sartorial
Definitely.
journey. They're just coming to you to buy a shirt because they got to go to a wedding or, a party or a bar mitzvah or whatever. Um, and they probably won't wear it, 5 times in the next 10 years. Um, that's a different need. There could
Hmm.
be that person that's just starting out. Taylor, that I interviewed last time, talked about how when he began, he was thrifting when he was in college at Salvation Army or Goodwill or places like that to get started. I did the same thing after a big life change. And I was basically starting over. And I would go to the thrift stores and I would pick up some amazing finds, Canali suits for $18 or
Mm.
less, and then just get them dry cleaned. And Brian, I found it funny when people say, "Oh, can you wear other people's clothes?" And I'm thinking, well, how do you dry your face on a towel at the Ritz Carlton that somebody just dried their butt with? It's, it's what's the difference?
These
Uh,
are actual facts.
yes, we we clean up but that got me into the habit of doing things. I didn't go buy. I bought as good a quality as I could until I could step up to department store. And now most of the items that I wear, it's custom shirts, suits, slacks, whatever. Um, Hoping to get into shoes as well. And um, as far as somebody getting started that walks into your store and says, I'd like to start dressing up more because I got a job at the Department of Health as an assistant, and they're asking us that I don't have to wear a tie, but I have to look nice. What does that trigger for you in terms how you would get somebody started?
Yeah, so the triggers for me, first of all, to let them know that the personal style should, for one, reflect them as well as their lifestyle. So you're telling me you're starting a new job with the Department of Health. Um, I'm going to ask a few questions. Okay, so you don't have a rigid dress code. Are there any colors that you don't like? What's your favorite color combination? Um, do you plan on buying a wardrobe that will take you from day into night on the often? Will you be wearing these pieces on the weekend? So after I ask my, several questions, because like I say, you have to be conversational and inquisitive, um, I begin to, you know, discuss fit fabrication, pull pieces, and really just go from there.
I love that. It's get curious, right? We want to be
Hmm.
curious about the client, but as a listener, maybe you're listening for the very first time and you're just thinking about starting your journey. You've got to get inquisitive of the person that you're talking with. So if you walk in and meet Brian and it's asking him questions. Now, some people are shy and it's hard for them to do those types of things. So
True.
that's where somebody like you comes in really handy to get them feeling comfortable right off the get go.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
if somebody comes in, and I love how um, I tell my clients all the time, 80% of this store doesn't even pertain to you because they always come in and they're kind of overwhelmed and they think, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. How do you choose one? Well, 80% of this doesn't even apply. So now we're down to 20. And guess
Right.
what? That 20 can be broken down into 80/20. So now it's only 20% of the 20%. And it becomes easier. Um, they don't need to come in to see you and spend $5,000 on 20 different outfits, do they?
Not at all.
How
No.
would you
I
how would
mean,
you get someone started? What are some key pieces, for example?
yeah, key pieces. So I would always say, follow my rule of white. So crisp white shirt, we got to go with that as just a foundation. Be it a dress shirt, as well as a t-shirt, because we do some good quality tees. Um, have to go with a nice pair of dark denim that actually fits. That's the actual proper size. And I know that's hard for a lot of guys starting out to actually figure out what the proper size is. I'm going to digress a little bit. I tend to do this, sorry. Um,
All
but
right.
it's so interesting how some people are just afraid to get the size up when realistically that's the size that they look better in and it's the size they should be wearing. And I always feel it's my job as a retail professional to just impart that knowledge on them, like let them know no one's judging you for this because this looks good on you. It's what you should be wearing.
Right.
Okay, done with digressing, going back. Um, I'll also say chinos is a good staple that can be easily dressed up for the appropriate reason. We gotta get either a quarter zip or a crew neck sweater in there somewhere,
Mm.
and just round it out with a nice blazer, navy blue or gray. Um, I'm gonna actually lean more toward gray because I think it is a bit more versatile. Gray, as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me representing Club Monaco all the way, we're gonna go ahead and get either a pair of the black or the white lace-up leather sneakers.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about ties? Um ties are one of, if I showed you my tie collection, you'd just be taken back. I love ties because I honestly could wear the same suit 5 days in a row, change the shirt and the tie, and I'm all in. So it's probably one of the best investments. And I buy great tie. I buy good ties. I don't buy any little 2 or 3 fold ties. I'm getting, 5 to 7 fold ties that are really nice fabric that will hold a dimple all day long without
Mm-hmm.
adjusting. Um, and they clean up well if they need to be. Um, I used to spill on my ties so much I'd keep them in the salad crisper so they didn't spoil. But
That's funny.
what about ties in your place? How do you help somebody pick a tie?
Yeah, so ties are pretty simple with us because we'll only do 1 to 2 colors anyway. So it's easy to say, okay, well, the gray tie will work with everything, or the blue tie will work with everything. Outside of that, on the occasions that I actually do suggest, other places to go, yeah, I have no issues with saying, well, you know what, I was just over at the J. Crew down the street. I saw that their Ludlow shop has some new ties in some pastels. Go ahead, check them out. I think they'll pair with anything that you got here. So
That
yeah.
that to me, Brian, is the definition of a consummate professional. Where I don't have everything for everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody does. You don't, but
No.
you're still a problem solver, so you wanted to find a way to get them something that would make their um, outfit look good outside of what you could do, and that starts to help. Then you can build um, a relationship with maybe somebody at J. Crew or another store where you guys there's some reciprocity and some synergy there and helping each other.
Definitely.
I love that. And I think of that. I can't remember what the movie was with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. And he was the owner. Fox was his last name. And he was the owner of a big bookstore. And I remember the rule. I'll think of it in a minute. Is that You Got Mail? I don't remember.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. You got
And,
mail.
and he taught his staff that if we don't have a book, you will run across the street to so-and-so's bookstore and buy it and sell it to the customer, even if we don't make any money, because we want them to understand we're there to solve a problem and stay with us. And I just love that. But you let a little light in on the fact that you like helping people out more than just worrying about the money,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's what it's all about. Building raving fans of Brian. I'm sure you have several people that come back time and time again because of the experience they got the first time.
I have my people who come and see me, and I'm so thankful for them.
Yeah, there's no greater compliment, is there? I mean,
No,
that's pretty cool.
no greater.
Or when they send someone in to see you, said, "Oh, you got to go see Brian." I mean,
Exactly.
that's awesome. So we talked about the three whites. The next thing that I have, because this is the Fashion Guru podcast, it's not
Hmm.
just about clothing. I think fashion, and more importantly, the word style. I think fashion, we talked about this. Fashion is what you buy, style is how you wear it. And we all have our own personal style. Some are better than others, but I think part of that is being organized, not only in our dress and being intentional, but also in our lifestyle. Um, and before I knew a thing about you, after I could see how you were dressed on your videos and in your Instagram, and now even before me, I can tell in your home everything's in its place and it's organized and intentional. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, definitely. There should be some intentionality behind everything we do. Um, so yeah, I actually had a district manager at actually my first big like management like step up. Like I was just named a newly assistant manager of a store. Anyway, um, she taught me a very important lesson. She said you should always walk in with positive intent for one to the people that you meet, and then positive intent in your home because this is the place that you go to unwind. So definitely like organize in a way that is going to help you live a healthier, better, more efficient and effective lifestyle.
So, to take that one step further as we unpeel that onion a little bit, I
Okay.
mean, I think attitude is key in anything that we do. Just because we're having a bad day doesn't mean, you know, um, we have to let everybody else know about it. Feelings can be real, but um, when when we remove from our lives as many distractions as we possibly can, and I think clutter has got to be one of the biggest distractions, um, both physical clutter, mental clutter, etc., spiritual clutter. Um,
Definitely.
I mean, we're we're ahead of 50% of the people right off the get go, I would think.
Agreed.
You also, it interested me to know that you at one time were a fashion blogger, and
Yes.
blogging is not my hallucination anyway because of YouTube and socials and everything else. More of it is the spoken word instead of the written word. Um, what did you find the most joy in sharing when you were blogging about fashion? I didn't tell you
Uh,
up front. That was a surprise question.
it is a surprise question, but I'm actually ready to answer it. Um, what actually brought me the most joy was the follow up to the advice. Saying, okay, well, I actually wore this to this event and X, Y, and Z happened. Thank you. I mean, that's like I said, my personality, I really just want to help people. So at the end of the day, just to get the notification that, okay, what I advised actually did work. You took my advice and you ran with it. I am totally happy and satisfied. That really was the most rewarding part about it. But then the blogging became to be a little bit too one-dimensional, which does happen.
But a great experience nonetheless, and a good part of
Definitely.
your story, and you're a building block for what you're doing. Um, you talked also to me about curating a well-balanced lifestyle. I just loved how
Hmm.
that sounded. I mean, it's a great tagline for something. Um, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So, well-balanced lifestyle should start off with assessing what you do with your family, what you like to do for yourself. I guess a good example would be I met a college professor who has a daughter who is a young budding tap dancer. He also likes to play pool in his spare time. So, advice to him was, okay, well, go ahead and use all those resources at your fingertips. Google, Pinterest, all of the student parent teacher boards at your daughter's school. Um, Reach out to people in those networks who can actually help you expand out this lifestyle that you and your family are trying to grow and live. And then check in with me so I can help you buy all the things that you need for that lifestyle to stay stylish.
Yeah, awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
It's the easiest, everybody said, what's the best way to learn? Experience. No, the best way to learn is other people's experience, right? Then we don't trip and fall quite as many times. And I didn't always learn the best way, but one thing I did find out is if there's something that I wanted to do or accomplish, or if there was a way I wanted to look or feel, find somebody that's already doing it and emulate what they're doing. And
Hmm.
um, I haven't known you very long, but I already know that I need a pink with a blue striped tie. Um, I
Yes,
don't
you
have
do.
I don't have one, and I love that look. I think it's great with that knot. It's a perfect knot, and summer's coming, and I think that's going to be on the radar. I really love that, but
All right, good.
it's about taking little pieces and adding them to what you already have, and I think that works good. Curating a well balanced lifestyle. What's next for Brian? Um, Tell me a little bit about what's on the radar for you. And obviously, you can't say I'm going to start working at J. Crew now because
No.
you might hear that. But um, everybody does little side hustles or whatever, and
Hmm.
I know you like helping people. Is there any way
Hmm.
you can stretch that a bit?
Yeah. So thinking about this, I really want to go back to my love of writing because I was a blogger at one point in time and I wrote a blog. Um, I'd like to do a styling journal, like an interactive styling journal.
Oh, nice.
People can take notes, ask questions, things like that. So I'm gonna try to get to work on that. I think it would be pretty cool.
I think that's pretty exciting. With the way that things are going in the internet and everything, um, to do an ebook journal or something like that is pretty darn
Hmm.
easy to do. And, with the advent of AI and everything else, you can put a lot of information together pretty quickly to get out there. But I love journal because
Right.
Jenny Craig never sold anything without before and afters, and
This
nobody
is true.
very few people buy a car without sitting in it and smelling it and revving the engine and taking off. And um, I think what a journal would do is it gives people a good picture of doing something through your eyes, which just gives another perspective. Um, a friend of mine, one of my coaches actually said a pickle can't see himself from inside the jar, and we don't always get to see ourselves. Yes, we can go look in the mirror, but the things we say and our facial expressions and how we carry ourselves and everything, we don't always have the best perspective, but other people do. And
Right.
um, I love some of the things that you have shared about how you talk with people and how you guide and lead without, I mean, I didn't hear an ounce of hard clothes, Club Monaco in anything that you said. It was
No,
always
no.
very, very little pressure, and yet um, helping people be decisive. Um, a good salesperson tells somebody what to do and convinces them it's their idea. That's
Hmm.
but I see that. But I love the idea of journal, and I wish you the best. I would encourage you to not set that on the shelf, but that you keep pushing forward on that.
All right, cool.
I would love one. I'll buy one. I'll buy your
Oh,
first one. How about
all
that?
right. I'm here for it. So I got to get
Yeah.
it off the ground. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, I um, um, I've got a lot of different questions. I I'm hoping that we can get together and talk again because I've got a lot of things to put together, and I think that we could have a good discussion. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and
Yeah, same.
anybody in the DC area that wants to have a great experience, or go try something new, stop into Club Monaco and see Brian, and make sure you said I saw you guys or I heard you guys on the Fashion Guru podcast, and that's why I'm here. That lets us know that you're listening, and you're out there. But um, the great thing about the podcast too, I mean, we've covered a lot of different things, and I hope
Hmm.
that you took some things away. I'm going to, or I had some takeaways. The things that I wrote down while Brian was talking was three whites for sure. I'm not going to forget that again either. And looks like I have to um, change my toothpaste, get one of those glow things that you put in your mouth, have a little bottle of
Right.
have a little bottle of Visine with me all the time to keep my eyes white.
Exactly.
If I could spin around and show you, I probably got 20 different white shirts that are always dry cleaned and pressed and ready to go. And I
Love
love
it.
white shirts, but I have plenty that are patterned as well. I loved how you talk about your personal style reflects you. And um, what I try to get the point across here on the show is that your idea is not to find things that help you look like someone else, but you get ideas from
Hmm.
other people that help you look more like you. When people come by flooring for me, they don't want flooring. When you go to a hardware store to buy a quarter-inch drill bit, you don't want a quarter-inch drill bit. You want a quarter-inch hole. And so we want everything that we put together. Each time we put another layer on it, another layer and another layer, we look more and more like us, and it's a reflection of who we are. Today, I can safely say everybody that knows me in my little metropolis of 300 to 400,000 people, um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that know me because I've been in sales for 37 years, and in the community and involved in the community and everything else. But there's things they have come to expect me to wear. They have come to know that I won't do XYZ, and I'd never see him wearing this because that's not his style. And
Hmm.
that's where we want to get to. We want to get to a point where now I know, I mean, I could probably, if somebody asked me about Brian Sterling and what kind of clothes, what would I expect to see Brian wearing, I could probably describe it with at least 80% accuracy, just based on talking with you and seeing what I've seen, because you have a personal style, and it's great. I mean, all your stuff looks awesome, and you can tell it's intentional. So
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that about you. Um, What I was also going to say, as far as the key takeaways, is positive intent. And I
Mm-hmm.
push that a lot on our show. One of the things this season that I didn't do last season was talk more about the the attitude of lifestyle, not just the clothes you wear. And it's being a gentleman. It's taking pulling up in a parking lot at a supermarket and waiting 2 seconds until somebody empties their cart and say, "Hey, I'll take that in for you. After all, I'm going anyway." And
Right.
you have no idea what that person just went through, and you might have made their day. And that's part of being a gentleman. Just
Sure.
because we're primarily talking to men, it could be the things we say. It could be a note we scratch and mail to a friend, telling them what you appreciate about them most. Um, those are all parts of being a gentleman. And I
Definitely.
think I think the bars, I hate to say this, but I think the bar is pretty low. So we don't have to do too terribly much to stand out in this busy world, for sure.
Right.
So, um, I would encourage you to do that. So um, if there's anything that you heard, you can always go back and re-listen. You'll be able to see us on YouTube. We'll be promoting clips, and this will be coming out mid-May, and get that all put together. But you can also hit up both of us on Instagram. I'm at Bill Daly Fashion Guru, and Brian is at the Dapper Problem Solver, PROB Solver. And I'm sure, Brian, you wouldn't mind any direct messages, questions. Um,
Not at all. I'm open to the public.
good, good. Me too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, sadly, we've come to the end, and we need to start wrapping it up. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind you of a few things. Number one, the main focus of the Fashion Guru podcast is to call men of all ages. Both of us started very young, and I'm sure there's some young listeners or moms of young listeners as well, um, to a higher level of dressing well. Whether it's smart casual, dapper classic, preppy, or sharp contemporary, there is always room for growth in everything that we do. We will endeavor to showcase endless resources from around the country and around the world to help you create the perfect look and develop your very own personal style. The second focus is to celebrate all my friends like Brian and trusted colleagues in their fashion related businesses as well. Our job is to connect you to professionals and enthusiasts who can steer you in the right direction, create a plan, and provide the products and services you need to make your sartorial dreams come true. I always opine that I would much rather buy from a trusted advisor than a complete stranger. I hope this is where you can meet real people just like you, that you can literally reach out and connect with to help you on your journey. Brian is a dapper problem solver, and I know he would be happy to offer solutions as well. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. When you reach out, make sure again to tell him that you saw him and or heard him on a podcast or a YouTube video. If you'd like to join our email list or drop me a note, you can do that at hello at thefashiongurupodcast.com. I would also love to hear your suggestions for podcast. We have a landing page there where you can actually enter people's information, or you can forward that landing page to people who may have an interest in the podcast, and I'll reach out to them and see what we have to talk about. Hey, let's meet here again soon. Um, Stay tuned for updates and promos on upcoming episodes on Instagram or your favorite podcast platform. We are on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeart, and of course, YouTube. The Fashion Guru podcast is recorded in Bettendorf, Iowa, in the good old US of A. We are produced by Blue House Socials and underwritten by Second Chance Productions, Abbey Carpet Gallery, and 111 Ventures, LLC. And of course, never forget that life is way too short to wear boring clothes, people. So dress it up, everyone. Live intentionally and on purpose, according to Brian. God bless you all. Take care.